Good evening, everyone. This is Chris and Sharda, and we're making a video called How to Save Money with a Big Family. I have this fly swatter because there's a fly stalking my
Random
wife,
fly
and
all of a sudden.
hopefully we'll get to hit it and kill it right on video. It's been stalking her for like 10 minutes. So this is just in case we need it, but we're going to talk about a few different things that people don't think about, and they spend too much money and then they're too burdened by the cares of this world to serve God. It's very important that you run streamline, especially with a big family. And even if you're single, some of these tips will help you. But for us, having a larger family, it's essential that we don't waste money. And one of the first things I want to talk about that saves us a lot of money is we live in a very small cabin. So most people are living in space that they don't need. They have extra rooms that they don't need. They don't use bunk beds for their kids. Every single kid has to have their own room. And we're perfectly fine, sleeping multiple people to a room. Right now, we sleep six to one room, which is too many people for sure to sleep in one room. But all our kids sleep through the night. We sleep through the night, and we're very happy. It doesn't bother us. So that's totally fine if you can handle that when your kids are younger.
Younger, right?
But as your kids get older, you're definitely going to have to separate the boys and the girls. Like once they're 6 and 7, they need their own space like that. Even it would be good when they're 5 to start separating them. But for us, I'm working on new space for them. So someone helped us out to get another big shell of a cabin, and I'm turning it into a big room for the boys and a big room for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my wife are going to have a little more privacy. But in the beginning, to help save money, kind of to sleep packed like sardines, it's kind of a big saving. It's like
It's normal in the Caribbean, but
yeah, my wife's a little more used to it, but in America, most people would never sleep six to a room. And I don't even think in your country people are sleeping six to a room, right?
it happens.
So,
It's not as bad as you think, but it happens. I mean, the people are happy, they don't care. But right now we have basically toddlers, so you
so
know.
they like it. It's like one big camp out. And I think they're going to be disappointed when we put them out of our room, probably.
Yeah, initially.
But it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So that's one big thing. You can have less bedrooms. You could have a kitchen that's combined with a living room. You don't need two separate rooms. If you're single, you could live in a studio apartment. That's totally fine. When I was single, I lived in a 2-room apartment. It was combined, the kitchen and the living room, and then there was one bedroom and one bathroom. Just downsize as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible. If you're trying to serve God and you have all these material things and you have a high rent and you have a big mortgage payment, you cannot do it. You need to get rid of that overhead or you cannot serve the Lord properly. If you are overburdened with bills, you cannot serve the Lord properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's key for us. And another thing I want to talk about is if you can, buy something, cheap, that where you're not going to have a payment. This way you don't have all that pressure on you and you could serve God more because you don't, you have more time. You're not stressed out with a mortgage bill, all this different stuff. And, the only thing better than having a lower mortgage bill or a lower rent bill is having no mortgage bill
Right.
or no rent bill. And, I understand that a lot of people aren't in that position where that, they could even be close to doing something like that. But if you're younger and you have the means and you have decent income now, save it, buy yourself, a $70,000, $80,000 cabin out in the country and live rent free and maybe commute into the city where you work or maybe just, buy something in cash and then you can just work like some, lower income job out in the country and serve the
Yeah.
Lord where you're not so stressed out because you own your property. I know there's many people that go to our church that saw the way I built these cabins and, we don't have payments, and they're starting to see like that's the way to go. You don't want to have a big payment on a car, a big payment on a house and all that, right?
Hmm.
You got anything to say about that, or that's my department?
That's your department,
Let
pretty much.
let me go on to a car now that I mentioned it. One of the biggest money wasting things you're going to waste your money on is a car. So you need to be very careful that you're not driving something that's beyond your means. Our car is worth $5,000. It hasn't broke down in, a year and a half, 2 years.
It's
And
faithful.
even then it didn't break down, but I had to trade in my Kia for a
Bigger, yeah.
van because we needed more space for the kids. So really, I had a $13,000 Kia that ran well for like 4 or 5 years, never broke down. Then I traded it in for a Kia van. And these cars aren't anything I would have driven when I was in the world. Like my car payment was over $1,000 when I was in the world. And it was insane because I was always wondering, oh man, am I going to be able to keep up with these bills? I mean, my car payment was more than most people's mortgage. I think it cost me about $5,000 a month just to pay all my bills when I was in New Jersey. And now we're down to almost just food, taxes, you know.
Very simple
It's a very
lifestyle.
simple setup. I mean, I have some credit card debt, which unfortunately I had to go into, when we moved here because I needed money to buy building material to get this done. But it's not a lot. It's like, it's like $15,000, which may seem like a lot to some people, but it's not like having a $300,000 mortgage for 30 years. You know what I mean? You could have a good year and make some money and get rid of the debt that I have. But once you get locked into a big car payment for 5 years or a big mortgage, you can't just have a good year and fix that problem. That's going to stick with you for a long time. Okay? You want to talk about something?
Um, I think that as moms, we should think about the way we shop and where we shop. And I'm gonna start out by saying buying clothes, if you're gonna buy clothes, you can shop at Goodwill or Salvation Army. We do that a
Right
lot.
here. Duff Beer, Salvation Army, Simpsons. Homer loved it, you know.
We shop we shop at Goodwill and Salvation Army a lot. And you find really decent outfits and clothes and things that are in very good condition for a fraction of the cost if you're going to buy something new from the store, and it works for us. And at the end of all of it, we save the clothes and pass it down as the children grow older.
Yeah, we're
So
handing down Salvation Army clothes from one kid to the next, and they love it. You know why? Because they're comfortable. You can't buy
they're
a
broken in
t-shirt. You can't buy
already.
a t-shirt that is this comfortable from even Walmart or like, just even a lower end store. This has been probably sitting on
Oh
some
gosh.
landscaper's back for like 2 years.
Let's not think about that.
He's had time to sweat in it. The salt in his sweat has broken it down.
Oh my gosh.
Does this gross you out, dear?
I don't think that much back into the history
Well,
of the garment.
you got to think that far back because somebody could have had this on, sweating in it, working in it day and night.
I don't think about that part. I look for it in if it's in decent condition. My husband likes it when it's nice and soft and broken in. And if you have, if you're a woman with unique style, like you like to be in some sort of style looking put together. Like this outfit, I thrifted. I thrifted this outfit. So you can still have that sense of style or your uniqueness and still be really cautious about how you spend your money on clothes, you know.
Yeah. And if you don't like own a Salvation Army, but you like the t-shirts really broken in, you can just fill a bag, like a trash bag with water, put the t-shirt in there and let it sit out in the sun in the summer for like 2 weeks.
Do people do that?
I don't know, but
You did that?
no, I never did it, but I did it by mistake once.
And it worked?
And then I pulled the shirts out, like a shirt that I didn't like to wear. Like, I think you actually left them out there after you washed them or something.
I don't know.
And the wind blew them off the table, and then I put them in that bag, and then it rained in it, and then it sat there for like a week, and then I pulled it out, and I'm like, wow, this t-shirt broke down in that bag in the sun. I guess it just rots out a little bit, you know? Anyway,
Don't
that's a
do
side
that with
note.
your clothes.
Don't do that with an expensive t-shirt, you know? Is that it? That's all you got on that topic?
You can take your point.
Well, let me finish that topic off. Look, for $150, I could go into Salvation Army. I could get my wife like 2 or 3 things. She doesn't need to be there. I just take my best guess on the fit, and if I nail 3 out of 5, she's still happy. And if if the other ones don't fit, they were $2 anyway. We give them away or we bring them to the other Salvation Army. It's a place you could shop when your partner's not even there, because if you don't get the size right, whoop-de-doo. $1 an item, $2 an item. And same with the kids. If it doesn't fit them, you just give it to someone else. And, you could buy a whole wardrobe for the price of, like, Benny Hinn's left shoe. You know what I mean? And even the stuff that I'm wearing when you see me behind the pulpit, all those button-down shirts, they're all from Salvation Army. I don't think out of all the clothes that I've worn in my church when I'm preaching in the church, they're all like, maybe total combined amount that I've spent on it is like $200 for the year. So and I think I look pretty good in some of those Salvation Army.
Decent.
But you look at some of these other guys and they don't even look as good in there. I'm just playing, but yeah, they look good, but they're spending they're spending a lot of money.
They're spending the people's money on their clothes too.
Yeah. They're spending your money on those clothes. They're not going to Salvation Army and spending cheap dollars on it. They're taking a bigger salary from the church because they need their Armani shoes. Some of these guys...
That's the type of humility we need to see in the churches.
Well, some of these... I know what these designer clothes are because I used to buy them all the time when I was in the world, And I look at some of these guys, even some people that are like respected evangelists, they're wearing like literally $2,000 in clothes and maybe another $8,000-$10,000 in jewelry on their person when they're preaching. They're wearing the average annual income of some of their parishioners on their body when they're preaching to these people. And it's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. All right. Take another one.
For entertainment. For entertainment, we bring the kids to either public library or public parks. There's no need to spend a lot of money on lots of extracurricular activities. I think I've seen a lot of moms doing that, taking up all sorts of extracurricular activities because it makes them feel like they're doing a better job than most moms, so I don't support spending money on extracurricular activities. It stresses the mother out and it's draining on your pocket. So usually we would take them to public libraries. There's all sorts of things going on at public libraries like story time, activities for little children and so on, and I take them there. They get to run out their steam in the parks, and they have a good time.
I
They
take
have a
my
good
kids
time.
to the gas station to hang out, and they love it. Actually, I have some photos of we went the other night. I think I'll put them in this video. They loved it. They sit on the curb. They eat a little ice cream, you know. And you gotta be careful because even that's really expensive if you go to a gas station like on a major highway where they're robbing people that are driving through like travelers. I think I brought them there the other day. It actually cost me $12 to bring them to the gas station. But it beats some of the other foolish worldly places that people are bringing their kids like to watch these stupid demonic movies and all this stuff just so they can not interact with their kids and they can have their kids shut their brains off and watch some worldly garbage. See, when we go somewhere with our kids, we interact with them because there's not much else going on. So you need to interact with each other to have a good time. And that's the problem when you overstimulate your children with all this junk. Um, they don't want to hang out with you. They don't want to talk to each other. They don't want to socialize.
They don't know you as a parent, and you don't know them as your own child, and there's kind of that divide and that rift that stays there for a while. I know that because that's the way I grew up. There was no kind of common ground between me and my parents. It was just a weird relationship, you know. So that's what not interacting with your children will eventually do as they grow older, you know.
Right. It's important to take time with them, all the time and let them know that you're not, ignoring them or off doing something else. Now, there's going to be times that God calls you to be away from your family, then you do what you have to do. But when, the Lord allows and you're around your family, take time to enjoy them or, it becomes a real problem. And I think, didn't you want to talk about not buying them too many toys or something like
Yes,
that?
this is a big thing for me. I stand by this. Simplify as much as you can. Keep everything simple in your home, streamlined. All the toys, just limit them to toys that'll keep the children productive, stimulate their minds. We have more books than toys. And anytime, we get all these little knickknacks all over the floor, I toss them because it makes life for the mom a lot more stressful, especially if you have a lot of children. You don't want to have to take all this time to clean all sorts of toys that they really don't need.
Isn't it funny that people think because we have so many kids, they need to bring boatloads of toys here, and then
No, don't.
some of them end up in the trash can because my wife just
it,
doesn't want to, hoard them all together
I
at the end
don't.
of the
I
day.
don't.
And some people bring in so many toys and like I said, we live in a small space. We don't need all these toys for the kids. My kids like to play with like a rubber mallet,
Yeah,
the
they'll play
lawnmower.
with the box.
The girls just,
The
yeah, a
box that
cardboard box is
the
a great.
box that the gift comes in. They'll play with that. I remember we unboxed some big toy that someone had sent them. I think I can't remember who it was, but we unboxed it and they were more interested in the packaging of the toy instead of the actual toy. And that convinced me that I was doing the right thing. I mean, they're used to it, so it's normal for
They're
them
country
to,
kids. They
yeah,
don't like being inside. They like going outside, playing in the dirt. They like putting their dirty hands in
exploring,
their
yeah,
mouth
yeah.
and getting all that good gut bacteria from the ground. They like just wandering around. My son Simeon, he'll stay on the lawnmower for like 3 hours. If I'm mowing the grass and I put him on my lap, I can mow that grass all day. And if I try and take him off the lawnmower after I'm tired and I just want to go in and take a shower, he does not want to get off of it. They like being on the tractor, the mower. Even the girls do too, I mean, I shouldn't really say this, but we live on dirt roads out here, and I actually like show my kids how to drive the van, and they're only 5, and I'll put them on my lap, and I'll just drive around a little bit down the street and turn, because it's just we live in the middle of the country.
Right.
We're not even on a paved road. They're growing up faster because they're not limited. They can just open the door and walk outside,
That changes if you're in like a big city area, you might have to, and I'm talking to the moms, you might have to figure out little ways that you can entertain your children and spend time with them, like as we mentioned, the libraries and so on. Maybe even a drive to the car wash is interesting for children. Anything that's simple. You don't have to do something over the top to win them over. They're totally content spending time with mom and dad, doing something very mundane. So,
all right, we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
It's about saving money, right? The video's about saving money. So what's another good way to save money? Buy good food so you don't have to eat like a pig. So you don't have to snack and snack and snack and snack and eat packaged stuff that's expensive. You buy whole food, good quality meat, good hearty meals, So the kids aren't all amped up on sugar, because when you live and you eat all junk and sugar, your kids want, the second that sugar high's going down, they want another snack. They want another snack. They want another snack. And you will go broke with a big family if you're giving your kids a bunch of sugar, because they're going to be riding that roller coaster, always trying to stay high on that sugar, and that costs a lot of money to buy all that junk food. And not only that, but drink water as much as possible. You don't need to always have a flavored, bottled drink. I can't even count how many people come here that live a spoiled lifestyle where all they do is drink like expensive flavored drinks all the time. Soda, juice drinks, anything. Get a glass, get a reverse osmosis water filter. That's what we have. Mm-hmm. And then you don't need to buy the bottled water. Even people we've had come here over and over again buying bottled water. I'm like, buddy, we have a reverse osmosis system. Buy yourself a big pitcher at Walmart and fill up a glass of water for yourself. Why do you want to spend all that money? And not like the environment matters to me too much, because God's going to burn the whole planet and everything in it. But I don't think we should be like gluttonous and wasteful with the resources on this earth and just, flinging plastic, filling a whole garbage bag with empty drink bottles and filling the landfill with it, and all of the diesel and all of the chemicals they need to use to make the bottles and transport the bottles to the store. It's just unnecessary,
Mm-hmm. And moms, it would help your family a lot if you tried as much as possible to cook from scratch. You can start, if you're not used to that, you can start really simple, doing things that you can make. But as you go on, it'll be a lot more cost effective to make things from scratch. Anything like pies and bread and staple foods for your family. It helps a lot, because then you can buy food in bulk. Like you can buy your rice in bulk and your beans in bulk, and it'll save you a lot at the end of the day.
Spend the time to get to be good at making whole food. My wife is really, really good at it now. For a while, you were feeding me burnt eggs for like the first 2 months of our marriage.
That was the first of our marriage.
No, I'm just playing. My wife is an excellent cook now. She's like almost mastered the craft of being like able to cook almost anything. But in the beginning, she wasn't what she is today.
I had to learn. I did a lot of research into different cuisines and different types of And moms, I hope this encourages you to do that
Oh,
also.
I got some. Speaking of how things used to be, you got to make sure that every time your wife, if you want to save money with a big family, every time your wife walks out the door to go shopping, you, no matter what, just tell them don't spend a lot of money. Every time they walk out the door, because they'll forget. You know, one time I came home from my shift work,
Oh no.
and it's funny. It's funny today, but it wasn't funny then. And my wife came up to me all excited, and she was like, "Hey, dear, I bought this first aid kit. I bought $120 worth of Band-Aids today."
It wasn't.
And you know, when you're working in a plant all day to make $90 for like 12 hours, and your wife thinks it's a good idea to like go out and like spend money to get her emotions like
it wasn't about emotions. I remember it. I was on the prepper. I had the prepper fever. Okay.
And we don't teach that. I teach you don't worry about tomorrow. Sufficient is the evil for today.
I felt all the anxiety. What happened? I was looking at those videos, those end time videos, a lot at that point in life, and it got me so anxious that I got the prepper fever, and I thought I have to make everyone a first aid kit right now.
You know what's funny about it? While she's watching the end time monkey business and the dreams and the fire from heaven and earthquakes coming, I'm teaching for years. Don't be stupid. Don't watch that stuff. It's going to make you stupid. It's going to make you do irrational things. You're going to get anxious. And here's my wife not listening to my own teachings, watching this stuff, buying $100-something worth of Band-Aids one day.
It was
and
a
I'm
season
talking like,
of life.
Yeah, it was a season. It was a season, all right. Yeah, but yeah, like when you barely have money to eat, you need to let your spouse, and it's not always the wife, but it's 75% of the time going to be the wife, because the woman, they're emotional, so they like to spend. It makes them feel good. It gives them something to do. They think that's their job to like spend all the money on groceries. So it's like, yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm spending all my husband's money, but you got to be really careful with this thing. Every time they walk out the door, you say, this is what I do. Don't spend a lot of money. Don't spend a lot of money. And even then, it's not going to work every time. But at least in that moment where your wife's walking through the aisles and the devil's like, yeah, you need that little beauty product over there, and you need to get it. You need to get 2 of them because, there's 2 different colors, and you don't know, which one will work best with your complexion. And then your wife might say, I remember my husband just told me don't spend a lot of money. Let me go get milk instead with that money. And that's why it's important to always keep, and you'll probably have to do that for the rest of your life, guys. Things have gotten better over here with my wife, but still, if I don't refresh that, and like, I've tried to stop doing it. I've tried to just leave my wife alone, and I see things slowly creeping back in the wrong direction.
It takes a lot of time to get used to the whole. I mean, it's been 5 years since we've been married, so as time goes on, you get better and better at meshing in different situations with
at being logical,
at living with 2 people in mind. For a long time, it was just me, and after I got married, that was pretty much, I had to find myself as a married person. So I went through a lot of phases. A
lot of things when people are newly married is, did you marry a younger person? So it's not like someone like my wife, what she doesn't always realize is, it's not just that we got married that made her have to adjust to everything. You were what, 21 when we got married? 22? Like that?
21.
So she was adjusting to, coming out of college and becoming an adult in the world at the same time as being married. So marriage isn't the only aspect. Younger people need to hear this, and married people need to hear this. Because this is something I learned when I was, early 20s. That, when I teach this stuff to younger people, or even when me and my wife were learning how to manage money and she was learning how to respect the finances of the house, it's something that I needed to teach her how to do. And it wasn't fun because nobody wants to be responsible with money. It's a lot more fun to just go and buy what you want or what you think you need. But look, it's priorities. When you want to save money, it's food. It's, electric bill. You have to prioritize what's the most important. And until you got that covered, you don't go buy Band-Aids. You don't go buy beauty products. You don't go buy, even if you're a guy, you don't go buy little plastic rims for your Honda Civic. You don't go buy, extra things like nice shoes all the time or whatever guys like to buy.
Books. Some people like to buy a lot of books.
Not me. I only read 2 books, The Hobbit and the Bible.
Another thing on saving money and spending, what I've learned, ladies, is to separate how you spend money on household items. So I'll put aside, I know when I go to the grocery store, it's specifically to buy groceries. And I know that when I go into the grocery store, I go around the perimeter of the store. That's where all the fresh produce is, and that's where all the dairy, the cheese, eggs, fish, meat, and then you can dip into the store, the aisles.
The maze of destruction.
Yeah, for something like cereal or rice or any kind of staples, and then get out of there. But if you're buying non-food items, I would definitely choose the dollar store, the Dollar Tree. Anything like dish soap, foil, paper, paper tray, foil trays, anything that you would buy at the grocery store and pay triple the amount you get at the dollar store, and that saves you a lot of money.
And don't get your kids used to eating in between meals. And if you go out, like for us as a big family, we might get one meal and split it between 3 little kids. I mean, they're smaller right now, but we're not buying 3 meals and letting them pig out. You know what I mean? Right. You got to feed your kids according to their weight. A lot of people don't do that. If you don't know how to put the right portion in front of a human being, you're going to waste a lot of money. We went through this too. There were times my wife would give me enough for a 1 week of food to me in the plate, and I'd be like, dear, less is good. We need to make it through the month, and it took, because back where she's from, they eat bigger portions, and I don't eat a lot. I eat very little. And, when someone hands me a plate that's heaping over the top, some people come here and they go to eat and we look at what they're putting in their body, and it's shocking to me. It's like 6, 7, it's like what I used to eat when I was shooting steroids and deadlifting over 450 pounds. You know what I mean? It's not necessary. You only need a little something, you don't need the full platter at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you get your kids used to eating 6, 7 times a day,
to do that.
One of our kids right now is trying to break us into feeding him 8 times a day. And we're not going there. Because then when he starts doing it, they're all going to want to do it. And when he gets used to that, he's always going to expect that, and he's not going to be happy unless he's always getting that.
Yeah, he's not choosing to munch for the right reasons. He's munching
out of boredom.
Yeah,
right?
out of either he is overstimulated, understimulated. Whenever he has any kind of feeling, that's when he looks for something to push into his mouth. So we're kind of curbing that right now safely.
Yep. He's not like me, like our other son. We won't name names, but one day you guys will watch this and you'll know who we're talking about.
Another point, don't go shopping out of boredom. This is a big one for us ladies. I know for me specifically, I had this way that, if I am not stimulated enough,
Dollar
or if I
store.
need to, if
The
I need
queen
to
of
just,
the dollar store.
so I started with reading good books, and then I had a hobby. But then when I can't do my hobbies, I need another outlet. So I would just drive to the store just to buy something, and curbing that and really focusing on processing what you're feeling is a lot better at save when you're looking to save money. Don't go shopping without a list. Don't go shopping without a plan, because you'll buy anything and everything under the sun that you feel like buying. And at the end of the day, that's not gonna work to your advantage.
Right. And another thing we do to save money is we don't use smartphones. And our kids won't be having smartphones. We don't use them unless there comes a time where that's the only option for a cell phone. And then we would have the lowest data to where they almost couldn't even use the thing. Because number one, we're on the internet enough here at the house, and we don't need to be at the supermarket or spending private time with family and getting all this text message or the emails or whatever. We could still get text messages, but frankly, we don't even look at them either, unless it's church time or someone's visiting the sanctuary. Like, I try and stay away from the phone as much as possible, because if I was on the phone, I would never escape electronics at all. And it's important to have that escape, but that's one way we save money. I definitely don't plan on sending any of my children to college unless they're serious about a specific goal. I'm not going to be paying for kids to have like a high-end vacation where they just party like I did. I mean,
That's not even normal where I'm from. That doesn't even happen.
well, in this country, at least where I was from, college was looked at as one big free ride where you just get to have a great time, and
Oh, right.
you just skate by. I think I wasted about $50,000 of my parents' money. Yeah,
No.
that's not going to happen over here. Like, unless my kids want to be a doctor or a dentist or something like that, or something that brings some kind of value. Because I know people that are stuck in student debt for, what is it? What are they called?
There's a lot of people
Student loans, right?
Mhm.
And then they, one family that goes to this church, they just rob their money straight out of the bank account because one of the people owed a student loan. They took their tax return. They will just take all your stuff, and yeah, you got to pay your loan back. But why get into that loan in the first place, where they're just taking all your money and you're paying? I guess I don't even think you pay interest with a student loan. I'm not sure.
No,
But that brings me to another point: to try not to get into credit card debt if at all possible. I know sometimes people are in a crunch and they have to get stuff done, but any kind of debt is no good. Not on a house, not on a car, not for college, not for credit cards, none of it. And, some people say, yeah, well, you need to be rich to have no debt. And, in some regards, that's somewhat true, rich in that sense, where you have enough abundance where you don't have to take loans. But if you lower your overall cost of living, you don't have to get in that position. Most people don't do that quick enough. I wish I did that quicker when I left New Jersey, set up a cheaper way for me to live, because when you're leaving the world and you're getting into ministry, and you're not set up where you have a low cost living situation, you will be destroyed by the devil. You'll end up on the street. You have to quickly downsize as much as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And because you don't want Satan to have that. Satan is the god of mammon, right? So you don't want him to have that pull on you with the money situation.
And reducing a lot of these things that you spoke about really helps people with the spiritual side of their walk. A lot less stress, anxiety,
right,
frustration, those kinds of negative.
You're never going to get away from stress totally, but if you have financial problems, it's that stress on top of all your other problems, and it begins to accumulate. It's no good. It's no good. It creates like a fight or flight response in a person. You're always fearing losing your home, losing your car. It puts a lot of stress on a marriage when you're broke and you can't pay bills. And, like, there was a time we were so broke that if my wife did go out and go buy $100 worth of Band-Aids, I had to get 7 times more angry because we couldn't pay our bills. So now if your wife goes out and does something dopey or spends a little too much on something, you don't need to explode if you're not backed into this corner like a dog in a corner, because you don't want to be in that position. You want to be in a position where if your wife wants to get a little something extra, she can, But yeah, that's not a good place to be, guys. You don't want to be there. Anything else you want to talk about? This video's going.
No, I think I've covered most of what I wanted to contribute.
Don't use a lot of toilet paper. Buy a house that's insulated well. If your house isn't insulated well, your electric bill's going to be out of control. There's little things that cost you a lot of money. We have a few cabins here. One of them doesn't have insulation in the floor. The other ones do. That one costs me an extra $150 every month in the wintertime to keep cool. Or, to keep warm. Yeah, in the wintertime. Yeah, little things like that, Some people talk about switching to propane. So, I don't know how safe that is indoors, but I think they have vented heaters that are safe indoors. Maybe if you have the means, switch to a lower cost situation, a lower fuel source for your home. All different things you could be doing to save money. Buy a low gas mileage car. Don't go buy a V8 car. Don't go buy even a 6-cylinder is not necessary sometimes. If you're single, you could get away with a little 4-cylinder vehicle, and you could just live cheaper all around the board. Smaller portions, like I said, everything. Don't get used to eating multiple meals, all of it.
And a tip for homeschooling. I've homeschooled the children. Well, they're still in that toddler, young child stage. They're coming out to that toddler stage right about now, the girls. But if you're homeschooling, you can definitely avoid buying an expensive curriculum and just get the state-approved books from, let's say, Office Depot, or the dollar store has a lot of the state-approved books for cheap, just $1 a book. And you can get that and homeschool your kids. Sometimes people go to Goodwill and they go into the book section. They find used curriculums there. So you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars covering that either. They'll learn the same things that all the other children in the schools are learning. Except you get to edit out the bad stuff.
Oh, I got a good one. Shampoo. When you use up a bottle, save the empty bottle. And when you come back and you get the next bottle, just put half of that bottle in the other bottle and water it down.
I do that with dish soap.
Yeah, dish soap too. I do it with pretty much any kind of soap. Because you know what? You're just poisoning yourself anyway with most of the junk that's in, unless you're buying organic shampoo and all that stuff, you don't need that much soap. Even cleaning supplies in the house, it doesn't need to be at 100% strength. You could get a thing of Windex and cut that 50-50. You could get Pine Sol, cut it 50-50. Soap, everything, shampoo, all of it. You can't do it with toothpaste, though.
You know what else drains?
I haven't tried, no.
If you don't know how to coupon properly, and you're not a pro at it, and you're just starting, that is a big, big red light that you're going to waste a lot of money. So,
couponing's a waste, man.
That is
couponing is just demonic.
In the beginning. Okay, look, I've saved a lot couponing, but I've also lost a lot couponing.
You have not saved a lot couponing.
You
have not.
On some things.
When you got into that, there was something wrong with you.
There
really was something wrong with you.
That too gets you hyped up. Like, I'm very sensitive to things that get my anxiety going.
Let me tell you what happens when you're couponing, right? You're looking at the coupons that they offer, and you're looking at it, and they're suggesting what you should buy that you don't even need, and you're like, oh, I could get this so cheap, I'm just going to buy that too. Because I could save it, but you never needed that item in the first place. It's a scam. You're being tempted to buy things that you don't even need because it was in the coupon book. So you're not saving money, you're wasting money because you're still going to go buy those eggs. You're still going to go buy that milk, but now you bought another thing because you've been demonically possessed with a couponing demon.
Look, no, you can't. I was obsessed with it at a time because we don't have anything like couponing in the Caribbean. So when I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great,
She got bit with the couponing Cupid bug.
After a while, I realized that, okay, my husband was telling me, you can't go to like 3 different stores. You're going to waste the gas. The same money that you spend, you're going to have to pay for the gas and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it at one store. So I kept couponing at one store, and then I realized that I was picking up an item. I had a coupon, but after the coupon, it was the same price as the store brand of that item. So I was just stressing myself out for nothing at all.
Not only that, but going to 3 different stores to get the cheapest thing, wear and tear on the car, putting the kids on the road. We had 4 kids when she was doing that.
I started when we had the girls alone. It was an on and off thing.
Whatever. You don't need your family. It was a
bittersweet relationship.
You don't need your family on the road, for nothing. I know, like, my wife's a housewife. Sometimes she needs to get out, and I understand that, and I'm okay with that. But you don't want to be driving to all different places, pulling your kids in and out of cars in today's day and age all around. There's whack jobs everywhere. People are driving around parking lots like idiots, You just don't want to be doing things for nothing. If you need time away from the house, go to a park somewhere. Go for a walk. Don't go spending money going to stores. Don't. I'm glad I have this fly swatter. Oh, people are gonna say I'm beating you now with this fly swatter.
Look, you guys, a lot of the things that we're covering here, we have moved out of that season. Okay, so. That's why we're making this video, because I learned from my mistakes, and
we're not like other people that are up there teaching people things and they haven't even been married 2 weeks yet.
Right.
We've actually gone through stuff,
We've lived and lost and learned. the hard way. So we're helping you guys to do the same for your family, because we get a lot of questions. How do you keep having children? Aren't you gonna this and that? And then they tell you all the negative things that might happen to you and your kids. So this is how we get by. It's a very simple lifestyle. It's a very simple lifestyle.
Right.
That's
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was a long video.
It was. It was a long
I'm proud of you, though. I thought it was going to be one of those, like, snap cutting the tape 50 times,
You might still have to snap cut the tape 50 times.
Why? What do I got to take out?
I don't know.
I think it's good enough.
Okay.
I don't like cutting the tape, people. I don't like cutting the tape. If you look at other people's tape, it's always snipping and cutting and snipping, because when they get up there and they say some dumb, ridiculously stupid thing, they got to cut it out. I like when there's no little snips in my videos, But it happens. It happens. That's the wacky world of YouTube that we live in. But thanks for watching, everyone. Hope it helped you. And be blessed in Jesus' name.
Bye. I said bye for you. You say bye, right? Be blessed in Jesus' name. Bye.